Hey guys, Mtgdecksforfun here. I'm back with another EDH deck tech. So this time, this is another one of my EDH decks that I have. So we have Tibor and Lumia, and they're a 3/3 for 4. Whenever you play a blue spell, target creature gains flying until end of turn. Whenever you play a red spell, they deal 1 damage to each creature without flying. And you'll see later on that their abilities have some really cool interactions. So we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mountains. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 islands. And then for non-basic lands we have Command Tower, Reflecting Pool, Steam Vents obviously, Spire Bluff Canal, which is a new one from Kaladesh, which I pulled in my video that I put up. This will probably be up the week after I put the Kaladesh opening up anyway. And Temple Epiphany, Swift Water Cliffs, Wandering Fumarole, Temple of the False God, Terrain Generator, Mirrored Landscape, Arcane Lighthouse, Reliquary Tower. And those are all the lands we have. And then we only have 2 Planeswalkers in the deck. We have Tamio the Moonsage, +1, tap target permanent. It doesn't untap during its control's next untap step. -2, draw a card for each tap creature target player controls. And -8, you get an emblem with, you have no maximum hand size, and whenever a card is put in your graveyard from anywhere, you may return it to your hand. Teferi, Temporal Archmage, +1. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library in any order. Or just put the other on the bottom of your library, sorry. And -1, untap up to 4 target permanents. And then -10, you may activate loyalty abilities of Planeswalkers you control on any other player's turn anytime you could cast an instant. So he's pretty good. He's pretty much there just to untap my stuff. Since it says Divining Top lets me filter. Scroll Rack lets me filter. Runechanter's Pike is one of the many ways I can beat people down. Soul Ring. These are mana rocks now. Thran Dynamo. And Gilded Lotus. And then we move on to our spells. We have all the draw spells. We have Serum Visions, Preordain. Oh, we're losing some. Ponder, Jataxian Probe, Brainstorm, Think Twice, Undiscovered Clues. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 instance and or sorcery cards from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Stroke of Genius, draw X cards. Blue Sun Zenith, draw X cards, shuffle it into your library. Fact or Fiction is a really fun card. Now into counter spells, we have Counterflux, which can't be countered. I can overload it to counter everything on the stack. Just base gold counter spell. Hinder reads counter target spell, and instead of putting it into the graveyard, you can put it on top of the spell's owner's library or on the bottom. Spell Crumple, put counter a spell. If it's countered, put it on the bottom of its library instead, and then put Spell Crumple on the bottom of its owner's library. Void Shatter, counter target spell. If a spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into the graveyard. Counter target non-fairy spell, exile it instead of putting it into the graveyard. And then counter target spell, exile it instead of putting it into the graveyard. Then we have Cryptic Command. It's one of my favorites. I can choose 2. I can counter a spell, return a permanent to its owner's hand, tap all creatures your opponents control, or draw a card. I can tell you most of the time it's counter and draw. Rewind, it's just counter target spell and then untap it with 4 lands. Desertion, counter a spell. If it's an artifact or creature, I may put it into the battlefield under my control instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. Aether Snatch, gain control of target spell. You may choose new targets for it. If it's a permanent, it comes into play under your control. And then we have Time Warp and Time Stretch. Take 1 extra turn, and then take 2 extra turns. And then we have Fork. It's pretty much copy target instant or sorcery, and treat it as an exact copy. So Fork pretty much becomes the copy of the spell, is how that card reads. I don't know what it's been errated to, but Reverberate, copy target instant or sorcery, and I may choose new targets for the copy. Increasing Vengeance, copy target instant or sorcery you control. If Increasing Vengeance was cast from a graveyard, copy it twice. So Geist Flame, I didn't know this card existed. It says it's a red and 2 colorless, deal 2 damage to target creature or player. But if it's in your graveyard, you can pay a blue and 2 colorless, exile it from your graveyard, and copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. So I can ping away a little pain in the butt, and then I can copy a really big spell later. Firemind's Foresight, search your library for an instant card with a converted mana cost 3, reveal it and put it into your hand, then repeat this process for an instant card with a converted mana cost 2, and then with 1, and then shuffle your library. Search your library for Mystical Tutor, search your library for instant or sorcery card, reveal it, put it into your hand, reveal it, shuffle your library and put that card on top. Merchant Scroll, search your library for a blue instant or interrupt, reveal it to all players and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. Seething Anger. This is one of the spells that's in here for Tibor and Lumia in specific, because it says, Tibor and Lumia again says, whenever you play a red spell, it deals 1 damage to each creature without flying. So this thing could be kind of like a board wipe, which is really cool. Okay, and then we have High Tide, which is until end of turn, all islands produce an additional blue when tapped for mana. Turnabout is one of the really easy ways to win. Tap or untap all artifacts, creatures, or lands target player controls. You just untap your lands and go nuts. Call to Mind, return an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Mystic Retrieval, return an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand, and it has flashback. Then we have kind of like removal, I guess you could say. Extract, search target player's library for a card and remove it from the game. That player shuffles his or her library. You can just get rid of anything you want. Eldrazi are usually the target, or a half of an infinite mana combo or something like that. Vapor Snag, return a creature to its owner's hand. Its controller loses 1 life. Reality Shift, exile a creature. Its controller manifests the top card of his or her library. So I don't know if people are new, they'll probably know what manifest is, but it's you take the top card of your library and put it face down as a 2/2 creature, and if it is a creature, you may turn it face up at any time for its mana cost. Then we have Cyclonic Rift. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. You can overload it for 7 to return all non-land permanents you don't control. Then we have Boomerang. Return target permanent to its owner's hand. Aetherize. Return all attacking creatures to their owner's hand. Evacuation. Return all creatures to their owner's hand. Chaos Warp. The owner of target non-land permanent shuffles it into his or her library, then reveals the top card of his or her library. If it's a permanent card, he/she puts it into play. Blasphemous Act. It causes 1 less for each creature on the battlefield, and it deals 13 damage to each creature. Then we have Artifact Removal. We have Shattering Spree. Destroy target artifact for a red, and then you can pay an extra red to copy the spell as many times as you want. Vandal Blast. Destroy target artifact you don't control, or you can overload it to destroy all artifacts you don't control. Shattering Pulse is another good one with Tibor and Lumia because I can buy it back over and over again and destroy target artifact at instant speed. Now we have the stuff that really interacts with Tibor and Lumia's abilities. Mercurial Chemister, discard a card, deals damage to target creature equal to the discarded card's converted mana cost. Now that doesn't seem like it deals directly with Tibor and Lumia because it's part of a 3-card combo, so I'm going to set that right there for now. Weaver of Lightning, whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. There's some equipment that are going to come later on that give Death Touch, so you can be really good to just pew things off. Willbreaker, whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes the target of a spell or ability you control, gain control of that creature for as long as you control Willbreaker, sorry. And Tibor and Lumia says, whenever you play a blue spell, target creature gains flying until end of turn. So you can just take control of all their creatures and kill them with it, which is really fun to do. And then Archetype of Imagination. I give all my, I think I only have like 4 creatures in here, 4 creatures flying, and creatures your opponent control can't have flying, so Tibor and Lumia is always going to hit them with their ability. And then we have Gorgon's Head, target equipped creature has Death Touch. You just put that on Tibor and Lumia, and it becomes a Wrath of God every time. Gorgon's Flail gives it Death Touch. Same thing, becomes a Wrath of God every time you play a red spell. The reason it works that way is because Tibor and Lumia does 1 damage to each creature without flying whenever I play a red spell, and Death Touch says creatures dealt damage by this creature are destroyed. Diviner's Wand gives it flying, and it gets +1/+1, or no. Equipped creature has, whenever you draw a card, this creature gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. And you can pay 4 to draw a card. And it says whenever a wizard comes into play, attach Diviner's Wand to that creature. So Tibor and Lumia is a human wizard. Dismiss into Dream is the card that I was talking about that goes with like Mercurial Chemister and stuff, because it says discard a card. It deals damage to target creature equal to the discarded card's converted mana cost. And Dismiss into Dream says whenever a creature your opponent control becomes a target of spell or ability, sacrifice it, and they become illusions. So that's Sphinx's Bone Wand. You can just storm out. Temporal Fissure is another storm card. Return target permanent to its owner's hand, and you get storm. Passive Flame. Each instant or sorcery card in my graveyard has flashback until end of turn. Flashback equal to its mana cost. So I can just play all my extra turns to cards over and over again, and then get a bunch of extra turns, and it's gonna be like la 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 la. And then Mizzix's Mastery is the big one. Exile target card that is an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. For each card exiled this way, copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost, and then you exile Mizzix's Mastery. And then Overload is 3 red and 5 colors. So it's a pretty big spell. So yeah, that's my Tibor and Lumia deck. It has a lot of really fun interactions. It's a lot of fun for me to play. Yeah, so if you have any questions, PM me. This isn't done. I'm looking for like Basilisk Collar and I think it's called Intuition. This is whenever whenever a creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, gain control of it for as long as you control Intuition. It's something like that. It's a 3 blue enchantment that's an aura. Anyways, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.